We have some kiddos that are still hungry. Thank you for asking. We are very excited to talk with you today.
Well, I'm excited to be here. So everything, the video sounds good. You guys can hear me okay? Okay, great. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to switch over so you can see my computer here in a minute, and you'll be able to see a little presentation that I'm giving.
Okay.
Since I can't see you during the presentation, if you guys have any questions, you can hold on to them to the end, and I'll take a few minutes to answer them. Amy, what time do you have until today?
About 1:45. Is that good?
Sure.
Okay. We can go a little bit over too.
1:45. Okay, sure.
Okay.
So quick question for you. You guys are in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
Where in Pennsylvania?
Okay,
York. Oh, okay.
And where are you at today?
I'm outside of Portland, Oregon, all the way on the other side of the country. It's still morning for me.
You didn't eat lunch yet, did ya?
No, I haven't. But you know what? I'm actually from Philadelphia, not too far from you guys.
Yep, that's about an hour and a half away.
Yeah, I knew some people from York where I went to college at Penn State. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a small world. So
yes.
Hold on to your questions until the end. We'll get started,
okay.
and hopefully you guys will learn something. All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen here. Okay, you should see that.
Okay. Yeah.
And now the screen should be completely black, correct?
Yes.
All right. Well, so like I said, I'm from the Philadelphia area. I grew up in the suburbs, and I wasn't, a person who spent a ton of time in nature. But, when I graduated from college, I realized that I wanted to do something to help animals and wildlife. And so what I did was I went to a place called Costa Rica to volunteer with the Sea Turtle Project. Costa Rica is a country in Central America that has a bunch of beaches where turtles come to lay their eggs. And so what I did was I got on an airplane, I flew to Costa Rica, I arrived at the beach, and I said, what do I do to help save the turtles? And they said, well, you need to take a nap because you don't start working until midnight. So what I did was I took a nap, and then I woke up, I got on some really dark clothes, and I went out to the beach, and this is what it looked like. There were no lights, there was no moon, there was nothing. So we're trudging along the beach, and we're a little tired because we just got up from a nap. And eventually up ahead, we see a little flash of red. That's a signal from a group of people down the beach that they've got a turtle. So we got all excited, and we're moving quickly down the beach. And eventually, this is what we came across. This is a leatherback sea turtle. These things can be 6 feet long and more than 1,000 pounds. And they've been around for more than 100 million years. So basically what I saw was a dinosaur crawling up the beach in front of me. And to be honest, I didn't do a lot of research before I went. I had no idea the turtles got this big. And I had no idea that this is what I was getting myself into. But I loved the experience, and I kept going back until it finally became a job. And now it's what I do all the time. I talk to classes like you guys. I go and visit different turtle conservation projects around the world. I'm going to Cuba in a couple of weeks to meet some folks there. And this summer I went to Mexico and I went to El Salvador to visit some of the places that we work with. And I think I have one of the greatest jobs in the world. And sometimes I'm lucky enough to take my daughter along. That's her there helping to carry that turtle. She's a little bit older than you guys. She's in 6th grade. And she loves traveling along with me.
Oh, what an experience that is.
So today I'm going to talk about these different things. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what sea turtles are. I'm going to talk about what threats that they face. I'm going to talk about conservation, which is how people help protect sea turtles. And then I'm going to give you guys a couple of pointers that you can do even there in Pennsylvania, not that close to the ocean. So these are all the different species of sea turtles in the world. There are 7 of them. You can see the big giant leatherback right here. Down in this corner is a green turtle, and this one is also a green turtle. This one lives in the Atlantic, and this one in the Pacific. This one here is a loggerhead. They have giant heads and like to eat things like crabs. Over here is a hawksbill. This is a flatback. They only live around Australia. This is a Kemp's Ridley, and this is an olive ridley. So those are all the different species of sea turtles in the world. So what's the difference between a sea turtle, a tortoise, and a land turtle? A lot of people get them confused. Well, this here is a tortoise. And a tortoise is a bit different from a sea turtle. They have these shells that are a lot higher. And these tortoises, they like to live in hot areas, and their shape of that shell helps keep them cooler. Generally, they'll have long necks because they like to reach up to the vegetation to eat. And the other big difference is their feet. You see their feet here kind of look like an elephant's feet. Whereas a turtle that lives in the water, in fresh water, like this one, they're a little bit different from a sea turtle too. You can see this one has little nails and they're kind of like webbed feet / flippers. And those are a little bit different. These are a lot smaller. This one could fit in the palm of your hand. But they have a very flat shell, just like sea turtles, and they breathe air just like sea turtles. And this is a sea turtle. You can see the way that its shell is pretty flat. It has these long flippers that help propel them through the water. These are sort of like wings on an airplane. They kind of fly under the water. So those are some of the differences. So sea turtles, we like to talk about why they're important. And some of the reasons why they're important are for what eats them and what they eat. So for a baby sea turtle like this one, which could also fit in the palm of your hand, but this is a leatherback, so it'll grow to a giant size eventually, if it makes it past all of its predators. And some of its predators include domestic animals like dogs, cats, that will dig up nests, especially in places where they're not fed so well. Birds like to eat them. Fish, crabs, ants, and flies will dig themselves down into the turtle nests and lay their eggs on top of the turtle eggs, and then their eggs develop and go into the turtle eggs and eat them. Things like raccoons. This one down here is called a coati. It's a rainforest animal that's similar to a raccoon. Sharks, and in some places, people eat sea turtle eggs. Not the turtle hatchlings themselves, but the eggs. By the time they're full grown, there's only a couple of things that'll eat a full-sized sea turtle. And those are sharks. Rarely, an orca. I saw some video recently. I didn't even know they did this. I saw some video recently where a crocodile was eating an adult sea turtle. Oh. And in some places, like in Costa Rica, jaguars can eat sea turtles because the turtles come out of the water and they nest on the beach. The jaguars come out of the jungle and will eat them as they're laying there. So you can see by this picture here how important sea turtle eggs and hatchlings are as a source of food to so many different animals. Scientists think that out of 1,000 of these little hatchlings here, that only one of them survive all the way until adulthood when they come back to start laying eggs again on their beaches.
You know what, Brad, we talked about that yesterday, and we said all the kids in our school and all the kids in the school next door to us, if we were baby sea turtles, only one of us would be alive. And that was a really strange thought. Yeah, they all thought it would be them, but so most of them, but it was hard to try to visualize that.
Yes, that's pretty amazing, huh? Only one out of 1,000, and you know what? Sea turtles have been around for more than 100 million years, and they've survived just fine like that. There have always been a lot of sea turtles because turtles lay lots and lots and lots of eggs. Sea turtles will lay 4, 5, 6, 700 eggs a year, and so that's always been okay for the species until they started facing some of the threats from people. By the time they're full grown, the sea turtles eat a few different things, and they're really important for the things that they eat, like jellyfish. That leatherback that you saw in the beginning, that 1,000-pound turtle can eat its own weight in jellyfish a day. Imagine that, 1,000 pounds of jellyfish a day. So if you guys ever get down the shore and you go swimming in that water and get stung by a jellyfish, you know why it's so important for these turtles to survive, because they help reduce the number of jellyfish in the ocean. Other things that turtles eat, Some eat the crabs, like the loggerhead. The one with the big heads eat the crabs. This one here, this is a beautiful hawksbill turtle. They like to eat these sea sponges. Green turtles like to eat seagrass. And some turtles will even eat fish if they can catch them, although fish move pretty fast for a turtle, so it's hard for them to catch them. So sea turtles are important everywhere that they live, and some of them will migrate really long distances. And so, like the ones that I work with in Costa Rica, I found out when I got down there that some of them will come up all the way up the coast near to where I'm from, and near not too far from where you guys are here in Pennsylvania. I think you guys are probably right around here. So the turtle will lay its eggs here in Costa Rica, and will come up past Florida, all the way up the East Coast. They'll kind of go along this thing right here, which is the divider between the deep ocean and the more shallow ocean. And they go all the way up here to the coast of Canada, where they can find really big jellyfish. And they go up there and they eat and eat and eat and eat and get fat, and then come all the way back down the middle of the Atlantic back to Costa Rica, which can be thousands of miles, can take a couple of years to complete that whole long cycle. Sea turtles are also important for providing transportation for other animals. This fish is called the remora. I call them the laziest fish in the ocean because what they like to do is stick their mouths, which kind of stick onto things like turtles and whales and other things, and they catch free rides. You see these fish all the time attached to sea turtles.
Like they're hitchhikers.
They also provide a rest stop for birds on long migrations. This is an albatross, and these birds have the longest migration on Earth. They're flying over the Pacific Ocean where they might not see islands for days, and they see a little turtle sitting there up on the surface of the water. They may decide to land on its back and hang out for a while. Again, we see this quite a bit. It seems kind of silly, but animals do use each other for rest. Sea turtles are also important in a lot of native cultures, in indigenous communities, where they celebrate turtles as their ancestors or as gods in some places. So this is a poster from a community in Panama that celebrates turtles. Since we don't have a ton of time, I'm going to skip by the nesting and migration real quick. If you guys all heard the word endangered before, did you guys talk about that a little bit? Yeah? Well, being endangered means that there's not very many of the turtles left. And so you can see out of the 7 species, 3 of them are critically endangered, which is the closest to being extinct. 2 are endangered, 1 is vulnerable, and 1 we don't have quite enough information for. And there is a few reasons for that. One is they get caught a lot in fishing gear. Now this is what's called a long line, and these turtles are air-breathing reptiles. So if they get caught on these lines, they can't get to the surface, they can die. I mentioned that people in some places eat their eggs. There's some places they also eat their meat. People have been doing it for a long time. It's in a lot of places, it's what people grew up doing and what they're used to, and there were always lots of turtles. So they continue doing it. It doesn't make anybody bad. It's just a different way of living, and sometimes people don't have all the information about what state the animals are in. Another thing that's harmful to turtles is plastic. Imagine a plastic bag or a helium balloon floating through the ocean. To a sea turtle whose eyes aren't great, that can look a lot like a jellyfish. And we find lots of turtles who actually eat the plastic bags or the balloon, which even looks more like a jellyfish with the string hanging off of it looking like a tentacle. And so this is becoming a bigger and bigger problem, and there's even a giant island of trash floating here not too far from Hawaii in the Pacific Ocean. You can see here is a turtle with a plastic bag. This one's in a tank. This was for demonstration. They took the bag out of its mouth afterwards. But.
Okay. No turtles were harmed.
Yeah, no turtles were harmed in this picture, yes. So how do we protect them? When we talk about conservation, we talk about people working really hard to help save turtles. And this is a neat little thing. This is called a TED, a Turtle Excluder Device. And what it is it's basically an escape hatch for the turtles in this net, which is a net made to catch shrimp. Most of you have probably eaten shrimp. This is pretty likely this is how your shrimp was caught. It gets caught in the net, and it goes through this grate, and the shrimp stays here in the back of the net. If something big like a turtle comes along, it hits this, which is metal, and it's forced out a little hole in the bottom of the net here. And this was developed by a fisherman, and has saved the lives of probably millions of sea turtles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we also use technology. Technology is real fun. You can have so much technology in the palm of your hand. Well, you can also put technology on the back of a turtle. And so what we do is we'll put transmitters on the backs of these turtles, and they will send signals up to satellites in space, and then we can follow online on the internet where these turtles are traveling, and that helps us figure out where they are and when they are, which is a really important information to help protect them. Another thing that's done to help protect sea turtles is protecting the beaches where they come to lay. And so what I used to do, and what a lot of people do, is walk up and down the beach here at night when they normally come to nest. This one was a strange one. Its clock was off, and it came to nest during the day. We'll wait till they come up and lay their eggs, and in places where people eat the eggs, we collect them and take them to a place called a hatchery, which is just a place carved out on the beach that has a fence around it, and the turtles are kept there in new nests made by people until they're ready to hatch, and then they're let off into the ocean, and that helps protect lots of turtles. One really good piece of news that we figured out over the past 30 or so years is when we protect these beaches long enough for the little hatchlings to start coming back as adults, the numbers will start going up again. And to show you some good news here, this is a map of the southern United States, and this is Central America, the Caribbean, and South America. There's a bunch of places where numbers of sea turtles are going up again. So leatherbacks are increasing in Costa Rica here and the island of Trinidad. Green turtle numbers have gone up a whole bunch in the past 50 years since they were starting to protect. Here in El Salvador and Nicaragua, this species of hawksbill turtle, people 5 years ago thought that they were basically extinct from this whole region from here all the way down to here. But now we found 2 new nesting beaches here, and we're helping to support those with donations to protect those turtles. And now there's reason to believe that these turtles can survive in this area. Oops. Here in Mexico, the loggerhead turtles and green turtle numbers are going up. This turtle, the Kemp's Ridley, which usually live here in the Gulf of Mexico, between Florida and Mexico, Texas, at one point there was only 200 of them. Imagine that, only 200 of these species in the whole world. And now since people are protecting them, there's more than 2,000. So they've recovered quite a bit too. And in Florida, I imagine some of you guys have probably been to Florida. 3 different species are increasing again because people have been working really hard to protect them.
Yeah, my aunt lives in Daytona, right on the beach, and she's going to, let me turn that down a little bit. She's going to sponsor a nest next year.
Wonderful.
Because they protect them in Daytona Beach because of that. So it's very interesting to hear you saying that this happens all over the place, because I just didn't realize that. Yeah,
in fact, there are probably more than 1,000 beaches around the world where sea turtles lay their eggs. This picture right here, you see all these little dots, especially here in Florida, it's dot on top of dot on top of dot, are all different nesting beaches. And this is just this part of the world. They also lay their eggs in Africa and in Asia and in Australia as well. So you're going back here, you see how many places where turtle numbers are going up, but you look at this and you see how many places there are. It helps realize just how much work there is to do to protect these amazing animals. So, to wrap up, I'd love to give a little bit of advice to people to help protect sea turtles. One is we have a little program called Billion Baby Turtles, and what we do is we help fund places that help protect these adorable little hatchlings like El Salvador and Nicaragua that I mentioned, and every dollar that people donate helps save 1 turtle hatchling. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing is plastic waste. Even where you guys are in Pennsylvania, if you were holding a plastic bag outside of your school and you accidentally dropped it, see the wind picks it up and blows it to a creek. From there it flows down the creek into a river, It may end up in the Delaware River or in the Chesapeake Bay, and eventually that bag could float out into the ocean in the way of those turtles that are coming up the East Coast, and they could eat it. So it's really important to keep as much plastic out of the ocean as we can, and that's by choosing to use as little plastic as we can and making sure we either recycle it if it's possible or make sure that it gets away in the trash. And there are events every year. This picture is from the coastal cleanup. It just happened actually. Just happened a couple of weeks ago, but it happens every year, and it goes on in every state, and it goes on along rivers and lakes and things. And you guys can participate. And the next time you're at the beach, you can make sure to be extra special careful with your plastic. And the other thing is, remember I mentioned the helium balloons. Helium balloons are fun, right? You guys all like helium balloons?
Those are the ones that stay up in the air, that say
Yeah,
happy birthday and...
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, so it's really important when you have those balloons that could float away that you keep a really, really good handle on. Tie them around your wrist or make sure that they don't float away, because even there in York, they can float all the way to the ocean in the wind. So it's really important to be careful how you use those kinds of balloons, those ones that float away. So that's the end of my presentation. I wanted to see if there are any questions, and I'm going to actually unshare my screen so I can see you.
Okay.
And you can see me again.
Awesome. Actually, it looks like we do have some questions. Emma, your hand was up first. Want to come on down? Okay. This is Emma. She's coming.
Yeah, if you can come close to the screen, it's hard for me to hear in the back of the classroom.
And there we go. Okay, and if you can project your voice so he can hear you.
Well, on the beach, the last time I visited, me and my parents were actually going there because each year we go there for a week. Each time we go down to the beach, we at least pick up 100 pieces of trash every time we go down there.
Awesome, that's great. So now you know why that's really good to do that, not just for the turtles, but for other animals and for the people as well, right? It's not so fun being on a trash, right?
Uh-huh. We go there for one extra day just to relax.
Now, did you have a question for him as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't really have to, but I just wanted to tell him that.
And that was nice that you did.
Great job.
Okay. A question? Joshua? Oops. Okay, this is Josh. Okay, go ahead, buddy.
When you were at Philadelphia, did you see the Declaration of Independence?
Yes, I did, actually. Philadelphia has some great history to it. I'm actually hoping to come back over Thanksgiving and take my daughter to see the Liberty Bell and all those things. It's a fun city. Yeah. I miss it.
Now, do you have any turtle questions? Okay. Does anybody have any turtle questions?
That's okay.
Kara? Okay. Just say excuse me. There you go. Okay, this is Kara.
How many years have you helped sea turtles?
Well, that's a good question. I have worked with turtles now for about 15 years. I first started right after I graduated from college. And like I mentioned, I went down to Costa Rica. I spent about 2 years working on different turtle beaches in Costa Rica. And now I help connect people. I encourage people to go visit turtle beaches and do education around them now. So I don't get to the beaches as much as I used to, but about 15 years, and it's been a lot of fun.
Okay. Anyone else with a turtle? Well, we have a lot of questions.
That's fine. You can do several more.
Garrison? Okay. Go ahead, buddy.
What are some of the sea turtles' favorite foods?
Sea turtles' favorite foods? Well, the one that turtles eat the most is probably the jellyfish. And one reason that that's really good is because there are very few animals that actually eat jellyfish. Turtles are one of the only ones that do. So they're one of the only animals that control how many jellyfish there are. Like I said before, if the turtles weren't eating them, there would be tons and tons and tons of jellyfish, and it wouldn't be as fun to swim in the ocean.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes they will eat crabs. There are turtles that are vegetarians and graze and eat seagrass along the bottom of the water. So yeah, different turtles eat different stuff.
Okay.
Great question. Thanks.
Okay. Deanna, you've had your hand up for a while. This is Deanna.
Hi, Deanna.
Hi. Actually, I saw a turtle in the backyard at my creek because I have this little club that we go down to the creek. And when we were walking back to my house, we saw a baby turtle.
Is that a sea turtle?
Well, not a sea turtle. It was trying to climb up on land, but it didn't. Like, we helped it up on land.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So that's a different that was a different species, like he was talking about before. Do you have a turtle question?
Mm-hmm.
What is your question?
Do you know how many sea turtles in the whole entire world there are?
Oh, that's a real question. You know, because they spend almost all their time in the water, it's really hard to tell. We do know that of one species, olive ridleys, there's probably more than 1 million of them. There's a lot fewer of the other turtles. Like I mentioned, of the Kemp's ridley, there's only a couple of thousand. Of the hawksbill, there are probably, I would say, maybe 10 to 20,000 of them. Of the leatherbacks, there may be 50,000 or so. I'm not sure how many green turtles there are, probably in the hundreds of thousands. But altogether, I would say there's probably no more than maybe 2 million sea turtles in the world, which is a lot less than there used to be 100 or 200 years ago.
So you said 2 million?
At the most.
Estimate. Okay.
Yeah, the information, our information is not very good on that. It's hard for scientists to count them.
So if you think about it this way, there are less sea turtles living in the whole wide world than there are people living in New York City or people living in Philadelphia, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So does that kind of help make sense to you? Okay. And they've been around for millions of years.
Yeah.
Okay. Thomas? Okay, this is Thomas.
Hi, Thomas.
How many sea turtles have you found?
How many have I found? Well, I have seen in the wild, I've seen leatherbacks, hawksbills, green turtles, loggerheads, and olive ridley. So I've seen 5 out of the 7 in the wild. I've seen the Kemp's ridleys in like aquariums and stuff, and I've never seen a flatback. So almost there, 5 out of 7.
Okay. That's over half.
Yes.
You can choose a girl, Thomas.
Couple more questions.
Is that okay? Yep. How about we do 2 more? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thomas, choose a girl. Now, hurry up. While he's choosing, 3, 2, 1. Okay, this is Jenna. These decisions are tough, Brad.
I'm sure.
Yes. Okay, go ahead, kiddo.
What is the most recent kind of sea turtle you have rescued?
I've rescued. The last kinds that I saw, I was in El Salvador a couple of months ago, and we helped to catch some green turtles in the water, some young ones, some juveniles, and we saw a hawksbill turtle laying its eggs. That was just a couple of months ago. That was a lot of fun. And then next week in Cuba, I'm going to be looking for green turtles.
Okay. We'll take one more. And then I do have a question for you as well.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Ava? Okay, this is Ava. Hi.
Hi. What's your favorite type of turtle?
My favorite type of turtle, I'd have to say definitely the leatherback, because they are really amazing animals. They're way different than most of the other kinds of turtles. They can dive deeper than all but one or two species of whales. They can dive almost a mile deep. They can hold their breath for 40 minutes. The biggest one that was ever found, yeah, that's a long time, huh?
Yeah.
The biggest one that was ever found was over 2,000 pounds and weighed more than a ton. Think about that.
That's an elephant size.
Yes, exactly. And it was 12 feet long, so twice as long as an average adult man. Like maybe your dad's maybe close to 6 feet tall, twice that long. So they are really incredible creatures, and I've worked with them quite a bit, and I really enjoy it.
So there are some of you that this turtle wouldn't even fit into your bedroom.
Be bigger than your car.
Yep. And if you think about it, we're going to music in a few minutes, Brad, and that what he's telling us is those leatherback turtles could hold their breath the entire music class because it's 40 minutes.
That's great, yes.
So when you're in there, you think, oh my gosh, the turtle would still be holding its breath. The turtle would still be holding its breath. It's pretty amazing. When you think about it like that, that's pretty amazing. Now, I do have one question for you.
Sure.
Because I'm thinking that it's really nice to get a good night's sleep, and they don't have gills, and they're swimming all through the ocean. How do they get rest?
How do they get rest? Well, it depends upon the species. You guys saw the picture of the one that was floating on the surface.
Yep.
The ones that are in really deep water, loggerheads often will hang out and take naps on the surface. Other animals, like the hawksbills that live in coral reefs, can actually kind of wedge themselves under the reefs or under some rocks and spend up to a few hours under the water. And what they do is their breathing slows down and their whole body slows down, so they don't need so much oxygen, and their full lungs can allow them to be okay under the water for long periods of time. But they don't have like a whole night's sleep like we do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. And if anyone has any other questions, you can ask your teacher, and she can send me an email, and I'd be happy to answer them if there's just something that you just need to know that you think of later, or if you didn't get a chance to ask.
I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Third grade, what do we say?
Thank you.
I appreciate it. You shared much more than I could ever have done with them, so thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay.
Fun.